Hello, it's Red Day 171 for me today. And today my run was probably the least interesting thing that took place in my running world. It was just a regular mile long run, slightly faster than yesterday, but not much. I'm still a bit slow. Um, which I think is just because I'm experimenting with intermittent fasting at the moment, and I maybe don't have quite as much energy, but so I need to play around with that. But I'm okay with how that went this morning, and I'm doing a couple of longer runs over the weekend, so we'll see how they go. But in more sort of interesting running news today, well, first of all, the Edinburgh Marathon Festival re-postponed this morning. They'd originally postponed from end of May earlier this year to the first weekend of September. But it has become clear in the last few weeks that large gatherings are not going to be able to go ahead in Scotland by that point. So it was fairly inevitable that they were going to re-postpone. So that's now going to happen May next year during its normal weekend. Geoff and I have not yet made 100% decision about whether we're going to apply for a refund or roll our entry over to next year. I think we probably will roll our entry over because although it's a bit of a busy time of year already with all our postponed events that are happening in 2021, it is doable, and I would really like to run the Edinburgh Half. So we will make a decision this weekend about what we're doing with that. So that's Edinburgh. What was more of a surprise was that London made an announcement today. They weren't due to make the announcement till Monday, but they made it today. And, you know, I've been doing my first week of marathon training, take 2 this week. And I've been saying all week, I really thought that it was just going to be 1 week and then done because they would inevitably repostpone it in the announcement on Monday. But they've announced early today, and they're not repostponing it yet. They're still hopeful that it can go ahead the first weekend of October. I still think this is fairly unlikely. I cannot see how a big gathering like the London Marathon can realistically take place in 2020, but they're still hopeful about it. So they're next making an announcement on the 28th of July. So I will be continuing my marathon training until then. Now, I've sort of got mixed feelings about this. On the positive side, it gives me a focus for my running over the next 5 weeks or so, which I've sort of been missing the last few months since everything got cancelled. With no races to train for, I have felt a bit aimless. And I have to say, this week, it really does feel like I've got a structure again. And that's been great. And even if it does get postponed to the spring, which I think it almost certainly will, you know, I can't look at it as wasted training because all training is good training for general purposes, I suppose. So that's a positive side. On the negative side, I really had hoped to have certainty about that particular race a lot sooner than the end of July. And obviously I do have worries about going ahead with a mass event in October. I mean, I don't really have a choice if it does go ahead in October, because I've missed the deadline for deferring. I'm a back of the pack runner. I've got a back of the pack entry because I took over 7 Hours in 2019, and there were all the problems with the race that year. Last year. All the problems of the race for slower runners, so we got invited back for the next race. So my group of runners, we did have the option to defer our entry to next March when it was first postponed back in spring, but that period has now elapsed, and I'm not sure if we're going to be allowed another period to defer. So that's an uncertainty. There's the general uncertainty of whether the race is going to happen. I don't think it will, but the announcement today indicates that they're really, really keen that it does. So we're going to have to wait and see with that one. It is going to be a few more weeks. And I think that if, I suppose the thing is that while the training I did in Take One in the early part of the year, I can't see it as wasted. It got me a really good half marathon PB, and it set me up with a really good fitness level for this year, which I'm just about managing to maintain, sort of. I did kind of feel a bit resentful that I'd done that very intense marathon training period, because marathon training is very intense, and I'd done that and there was no marathon at the end of it. And it looks like I'm going to be doing the same thing again, and then probably doing training Take 3 at the start of next year. But as I say, everything's so uncertain. We don't know what's going on. So mixed feelings, I suppose. But I think the best thing is to look on the bright side. I've got some structured training to do over the next few weeks, even if it doesn't amount to anything in the end. And I think I just have to look at it that way, really. So 3 miles tomorrow, tempo-ish. I probably won't really try and do a flat-out pace run because I've not done one for a few weeks and my pace has been suffering the last couple of days. So any time 5K will be fine with me tomorrow. And then 7 miles on Sunday, because that's what's on my plan for my long run this week. And I'll be doing long runs for a few more weeks, it seems. So yeah, a couple of longer runs over the weekend. I will let you know how I get on with them.